From here, this last time, I have understood there is no turning back. The torch is failing along with my resolve. I can hear the singing of the sea creatures from the passages above me, and they are promising the return of the gulls. It was as if someone had taken the car and shaken it like a cocktail. The glove compartment had been opened and emptied with the ashtrays and the boot. It made for a crumpled museum, a shattered exhibition.
Final dream, I sat at peace with Jacobson and watched the moon over the Sandford Junction. Goats grazed on the hard shoulder, the world gone to weed and redemption. He showed me his fever scars, and I mine, between each shoulder the nascency of flight.
This cannot be the shaft they threw the goats into. It cannot be the landfill where the parts of your life that would not burn ended up. It cannot be the chimney that delivered you to the skies. It cannot be the place where you rained back down again to fertilize the soil and make small flowers in the rocks.
wish I could have known Donnelly in this place. We would have had so much to debate. Did he paint these stones or did I? Who left the pots in the hut by the jetty? Who formed the museum under the sea? Who fell silently to his death into the frozen waters? Who erected this godforsaken aerial in the first place? Did this whole island rise to the surface of my stomach, forcing the gulls to take flight?
Dear Esther, I find each step harder and heavier. I drag Donnelly's corpse on my back across these rocks, and all I hear are his whispers of guilt, his reminders, his burnt letters, his neatly folded clothes. He tells me I was not drunk at all.
There were chemical diagrams on the posters on the walls on the waiting room. It seemed appropriate at the time. Still life abstractions of the processes which had already begun to break down your nerves and your muscles in the next room. I crammed diazepam as I once crammed for chemistry examinations. I am revising my options for a long and happy life. From here, I can see my armada. I collected all the letters I'd ever meant to send to you, if I'd have ever made it to the mainland, but had instead collected at the bottom of my rucksack, and I spread them out along the lost beach. Then I took each and every one, and I folded them into boats. I folded you into the creases, and then, as the sun was setting, I set the fleet to sail. Shattered into 21 pieces, I consigned you to the Atlantic, and I sat here until I'd watched all of you sink.
A sound of torn metal, teeth running over the edge of the rocks, a moon that casts a signal. As I lay pinned beside you, the ticking of the cooling engine, and the calling from a great height, all my mind as a bypass.
I've begun my voyage in a paper boat without a bottom. I will fly to the moon in it. I've been folded along a crease in time, a weakness in the sheet of life. Now you've settled on the opposite side of the paper to me. I can see your traces in the ink that soaks through the fiber, the pulped vegetation. When we become waterlogged and the cage disintegrates, we will intermingle. When this paper aeroplane leaves the cliff edge and carves parallel vapor trails in the dark, we will come together. If only Donnelly had experienced this, he would have realized he was his own shoreline, as am I. Just as I am becoming this island, so he became his syphilis, retreating into the burning synapses, the stones, the infection. Returning to my car afterwards, hands still shaking, and a head split open by the impact. Goodbye to tearful aunts and traumatized uncles. Goodbye to the phenomenal. Goodbye to the tangible. Goodbye Wolverhampton. Goodbye Sanford. Goodbye Cromer. Goodbye Damascus. This cliff path is slippery in the dew. It is hard to climb with such an infection. I must carve out the bad flesh and sling it from the aerial. I must become infused with the very air. He was not drunk, Esther. He was not drunk at all. He had not drunk with Donnelly or spat Jacobson back at the sea. He had not careered across the lost shores and terminal beaches of this nascent archipelago. He did not intend his bonnet to be crumpled like a spent tissue by the impact. His windscreen was not star-studded all over like a map of the heavens. His paintwork etched with circuit diagrams, strange fish to call the gulls away. The phosphorescence of the skid marks lighting the M5 all the way from Exeter to Damascus.
I am the Ariel. In my passing, I will send news to each and every star. Dear Esther, I have burnt my belongings, my books, this death certificate. Mine will be written all across this island. Who was Jakobsen? Who remembers him? Donnelly has written of him, but who was Donnelly? Who remembers him? I have painted, carved, hewn, scored into this space all that I could draw from him. There will be another to these shores to remember me. I will rise from the ocean like an island without bottom, come together like a stone, become an Ariel, a beacon, that they will not forget you. We have always been drawn here. One day the gulls will return and nest in our bones and our history. I will look to my left and see Esther Donnelly flying beside me. I will look to my right and see Paul Jakobsen flying beside me. They will leave white lines carved into the air to reach the mainland, where help will be sent. Come back.
How much time do I have? About 10 minutes. Alright. Hey everybody. So that was Dear Esther. It's definitely one of those nude pieces, not nude. Well, it could be a nude piece, I guess. But then I couldn't play with the camera on. That'd be, you wouldn't want to see that. An absolutely just beautiful game. At the end there, it sort of just fades out to black, and there's some Half-Life 2 noise, which... Oh, what time is it? 11:10. Alright, well, I did have a big day at work. It's a Friday after all, but it's definitely a game that you just like to explore, and the aspect, the story, and the music, and the environment. And I'm sure you guys have noticed the hallways etched like this. You see that on the cover for Machine to Pig. So the Chinese Room definitely has an eye for the environment, and I definitely hope that that translates through into the next game. I want to talk over the music and the story, and it's sort of this, the abstractness. I really hope that translates into, because Amnesia, the first game, was it was open ending wise for you to sort of choose which path Daniel went on. In this game, it was really very sort of inconclusive who you were. You know? It's an interesting story, and I very much enjoy coming back every time to play it over and over again, just to walk among the islands. It's very beautiful, very calming, melancholy sort of game. I hope you guys didn't mind. I did kind of rush through that as fast as I could. Which, you know, I would like to explore a little bit more. I definitely do enjoy doing so. But you can understand, you know. And I don't mind. If you guys found it to be a little bit boring, I understand. But this is the Chinese Room's first work officially put out of their own project. So I thought it'd be interesting to go and look for that and see what they've done before we go into A Machine for Pigs. That being said, now that I have lulled you all into a very sort of sleep, this is the beginning of a countdown for A Machine for Pigs. Hopefully there will be bacon. I might bring some bacon. We'll have bacon. We'll bring bacon. Someone will have bacon for this. So, that being said, now I got how many? I got 6 minutes before my recorder stops, or maybe it already did stop. Well, the camera's still on. Very quickly, we'll wrap this up right here. We will now go into Amnesia mods, and we will play custom stories for Amnesia to keep us in the spirit until the end of this summer. And so until then, take care, everyone. I'll catch you later.